Hi everyone, today we're gonna see a very famous standard in French chanson released by Joe Dassin in the summer of 1969, Les Champs-Élysées. In this video, I will show you and explain how to play the chords like in the original track. The rhythm is typical of the 60s, 70s, and it's always a great song that everyone loves to hear if you play it. Okay, so for this lesson about Les Champs-Élysées de Joe Dassin, by Joe Dassin, we are going to have a look at the chords because it's a chord-based song. So the key, the major key, in fact, the tune of this song is in E, and it starts with a E major here, all right? And then in fact, the first chord is the E major here, so it's E, then it's you have a G sharp, and then you have a B, and this chord, in fact, is played on its second position. I would say second inversion. So you have the root here, so it's the same, of course. Then the first inversion, you put this note at the end, and you do it again for this one, and you get here the second inversion. Of course, if you start again, I remind you that you come back to the E major, to the root. So there are only 3 positions for a chord, 1, 2, 3, and the fourth one, of course, is the first one. Okay, so first, there is in this song an introduction, and this introduction is often played like this with the bass line. But in fact, it's not exactly the case. If you listen to the track carefully, and of course, this song was recorded at the beginning of the 70s, so the quality of the recording is not as good as it was like 5 years later, for example. Or even 10 years later, of course. But in the mid-70s, the quality of the recording began to be very good if you listen to all these musics that were produced at this time. Okay, so what I mean is that there was a huge gap between 1970 and 75, but probably sound engineers could tell me more about this. If it's the case, don't hesitate to leave a comment about that. But okay. Of course, this is related to the evolution of the devices of sound engineering. So we are here on this position, and in fact, the bass that is played by the left hand is going to create, I would say, to play a little melody. So instead of doing like this, the bass seems to be, once again, I'm not sure 100%, but it's something that seems to be the case, is doing that. Okay, so it's quick on the left hand, and there is a kind of melody, in fact, in order not this to be boring, because in fact in this song we are in E major, and in fact the bass line will go down all the different notes of the scale, you know. So here we have the E major with the 4 sharps here, and in fact we just go down, you know, and of course we should be arriving here, but because we need 8 measures before, so we come back to this one because it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we can come back to the E. I will show you how you can do with this introduction, but then as this introduction with the left hand is a little complicated, then of course when you start to sing, or if you accompany a singer, I would suggest you to not to do all these notes behind if it's not necessary, because it adds, you know, some information, and especially at the beginning of the song, we don't want to have a full orchestra, you know. Okay, so here is the first chord. Then it's a B major, and that is in fact played on the third. Here is the E flat, okay, and E flat here is in fact the third of if you start to the B, okay. So it creates a strange sound, and I will give you another information about that. Listen to that. Of course, if I play this chord on its root, here is the root, so the B. This is what you can have. I will do it here. Now, listen, if I played it on the third, so this one, you can hear the difference. Now, I play the same on the fifth here, so this one. You see it's the same chord, but because the bass is different, we have other colors, you know, so the color is not the same. So it's very interesting to play a bass that is not on the root of a chord, of course, and interesting compositions play with all these kind of things. Then the bass line we do like this during the introduction, and then we arrive here, and here this is a C sharp minor. So this is the C sharp minor once again. First inversion, second inversion, so we are here on the second inversion. So what in fact the goal for the right hand is not to move a lot, so you know, see. Then here we arrive to the B, but now it's a strange sound. It's in fact a B diminished. It's but let me tell you something about this chord, because it's something like in between. An in-between chord. What is it? So this chord is played like this. If I follow the rules, in fact it's a B diminished chord here, but of course the diminished scale has no root, so in fact it can be like this, like this, like this, and so on. So in fact this B diminished is also, of course, a D diminished, a F diminished, or a G sharp, or A flat diminished. It's exactly the same chord. So here we have this thing, but in fact, it's if I make you listen the beginning of the song, this is what we have. It's much more, in fact, E7 that is played on the B here, but in fact this E7 is not played here. Then in the introduction, during the verse, you come back to the A, but during the introduction, in fact, you play these chords twice, and you come back to the E before. Sorry, you go to the E before coming back to the A. So, and the A, of course, we keep the A position, so it's the A major here. So if you don't know the chords, it's you just have to learn them. I just explain you how it works. Then we go back here to the A flat, and as we are doing that, I'm going to play E major. So here is the E major, but this time it's not the E major in the second position, it's the E major on the first position. So thanks to this music, you will learn a lot of different ways of playing a chord. Okay, so here it's and now listen to the sound. We are playing the chord on the third. See, here is the root. Here's the third. Okay. Then the F sharp major. This chord. So we are in this position, and we are in this position. This chord is played on the third. So here you have the F sharp, of course. This is the real chord. I say F sharp major. If you switch it, first inversion, second inversion, and root again. So here it's the third. So it's the second inversion, okay? First inversion, sorry. And then we come back to the B again. And what is interesting is that you just have to do this with your hand, and you see, in fact, the right hand doesn't move a lot. And this is the goal for the pianist, not to create the minimum movement as possible, even if it's much more impressive for the people when they can see the pianist playing and moving, dancing, with his hands on the keyboard. In fact, it's much convenient, and sometimes, well, depending, it's much more efficient not to move. So listen to this chord, the first chord. So first you try to memorize them, by playing them like this. Then this strange chord. Then this one, this one, this one, and the eighth one, this one. Okay? So now for the second round of the verse, it's exactly the same thing, but the end changes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, same chord, 5, 6, and then instead of going to the last one here, the lower chord of this sequence, you go to the A major, and then one again. So this one is not played twice; it's only played once. 1, 2, because we can only play a chord twice. So 1, then B major again, A, B, and then E. The fact is that the best way is to conclude like this, but in the record, I'm not sure that it's the case. Why it's better to conclude here? Because we want to have this melody, we want this note and we don't want this one. But there is I think maybe not in this at this moment, but there is something wrong in the track, and probably it was recorded like this. They didn't pay attention, or they were in a hurry, or who knows. But it's for the years not a big problem. But logically, it should be like this. Okay, but I think in the track it's like this. Okay, so it's the same chord but not the same position. Now at the end of this verse, what I do is there is then a gap, and I fill the gap by pressing here, the key. It's E in fact, but the lowest E of the keyboard. All right. So now, of course, if we go back to this verse, this is what we have. So twice is here, 2 times. So because of course it's more natural for me to press this one. 1, 2. This one, and once again. Or okay. So this is for the verse. So we checked everything. For the introduction, I told you a little bit about there are more notes at the that are played in fact by the left hand. And this is normal because there is no bass at this time, and so the piano is the only instrument to play in the track. There is also cymbals, behind, but whatever. And so of course it would be too boring to have this like this, if there is nothing nothing else. So there is no singer, no orchestra. So that's why the melody has here on the left hand is moving a little, because here the right hand has to be very straight, very straight to the point, in fact, and there is no ways to change the melody and this movement. Okay, so now let's have a look at the chorus. So in the chorus, it will be exactly the same, so it's not very difficult, but there is an exception, and I will tell you. So you come back to this position, like in the verse, and then you go to this one. But here now there is a change. Instead of playing a B major on its third, you will play this chord, which is in fact a diminished chord. So here, this is C diminished chord, all right? And in fact, you've already seen this one, the B diminished chord. Then if I go up a semitone, you have this one. And then if I go up once again a semitone, you have this one. So this is of course, you say B, here C, C sharp. And if you climb again, D, but D is the same as this one, so there are only 3 diminished chords. Okay? So now here, this is this chord that we are listening to. So, oh, Champs-Élysées. So it's something like this, but in fact, once again, it's a kind of, I would say, in-between chord, because, well, no, in fact, no, it's like this. The point is that if you add this note, listen to that, it doesn't work too much. So yeah, in a way, it's an in-between chord, because we could play this one. This one is played instead, but look, this one works in fact. So, oh, Champs-Élysées, it works. Oh, Champs-Élysées. You see the difference? It's more beautiful here. But if I add this one, it doesn't work. I mean, it's like too heavy, too much. So it's really what we could call an in-between chord, something between here and there. So it's for the second one. Then there is the third one. We come back to this position. We play this second in-between chord as well. Then this one, and it's exactly the same thing at the first time. So, oh, Champs-Élysées, so I made a mistake because I forgot to play this one, or I don't remember. Okay, let's do it properly. Oh, Champs-Élysées, oh, Champs-Élysées, and so on. So it comes back again. Au soleil, sous la pluie, à midi ou à minuit, il y a tout ce que vous voulez, aux Champs-Élysées. And then it's over. It's exactly the same as in the verse. There is the only change is on the second chord. Instead of playing this one, you just move this. So in fact, the difference between the verse and the chorus is just a semitone, that's all. So during the bridge, in fact, there is a solo with the wind instrument, or maybe wind instruments. I don't remember if there is only one, or I don't remember. But this is where we can hear. And the piano, in fact, will accompany, of course, this one, this time, not the singer, but will accompany the orchestra. So it starts here. We with the, in fact, the F sharp here, and this time this F sharp is not major. If you remember, we were playing the F sharp like this. This time it's minor. So instead of playing this one, we have a third. You know, here that is minor. Okay. So two times, and then we go to the B here at this position. So the bass, in fact, is doing something like this, if I remember. So it's it's minor, and then instead of playing this a second time, there is an exception here. You will play these notes, in fact an octave, B octave, and because it doesn't sound very great, what I suggest is that to have much more intensity at this moment, you add the B here. So you play 3B, 2 octaves, and this time the it's better for the ears. So like this. Ba ba da ba da ba, ba ba da ba. And here, only one chord. So here, the root, E major, played on its first inversion. Then you will climb here these two notes, so like this. So in fact, this one is A flat minor here, played on the 5th. Then we go to this one, which is in fact C sharp minor, this one, but we play only 2 notes and not 3 because we don't want to go here. We could play this one, and I don't know if it's the case in the track. I'm pretty sure that it's not the case because I listened to it. But why? Because just listen to this. This makes more sense than that. But, well, I don't know. You can do that if you want. Maybe it's easier like this, but whatever. And then the second time to emphasize that this chord is minor, because if you don't play this one, it could be this one. And in this case, it would be major, minor. So you add this chord, and this is what we can hear in the track. So it's 1, 2, 3. And when you do this, because if you just do like this, there is no rhythm. So in fact, you will do something like this, and you will push all these keys together. In fact, to create a movement here on the left hand, like something that makes the bass groove. 1, 2, 3, and then you come back to this. So dum bum 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 bum. Twice. 1, 2. The same, but this time we have this. And it's the end of the phrase, the first sequence of notes of the solo. There are 2. So the first one is like this. So let me repeat all this with you. So down slowly. When you work at home, of course, you go slowly because you have to learn and to identify all the positions of these chords. Even for me, I mean, if I don't check them, very carefully, then when it goes quick, I'm lost. So it's very important to work slowly, to integrate them in your body, in your memory, in your brains, and then little by little you speed up, and then when you know them by heart, your fingers will play by themselves. Okay? Now the second time, it's almost the same thing. The second time is this time you don't do that if you want to respect the original record, because the second time this one is played twice. Then there is this movement going down, and then the end, and then the final chord, but you add two more chords, B and E again. But now you can see that the E is going down. Why? Because our ears want to listen to this in order to reach the final tune, which is our A major. Exactly. If you were listening to what I was saying. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Stop, and you stop. Okay. So now if you want to play it like it is in a track, let me give you an example. Beep 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 beep. 1, 2, 3. Beep 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 beep. Wole. Playing Les Champs-Élysées is not too difficult, and it's always a guarantee of gathering people around the piano. In this lesson, we analyze the chord progression and the way these chords can be reversed. If you like this video, don't hesitate to subscribe to this channel. See you soon for another video.